Previously on The Horn, our interview with Mike Jamieson.
You know, if you know something that's been on the B-side of an album that only sold 12 copies, you know, somehow in the musician circles that seems to make you special. But I'm thinking, isn't music to be shared? Isn't music to be fun? Isn't it what people like? I mean, there's nothing wrong with popular music. I grew up sort of listening to the popular music and realizing that I had missed all the, you know, less popular music that was going on, the wonderful, less popular stuff that was going on at the time. But part of that was I had no access to it, or very little access to it. You really had to try. The best rock band I was a band called Paradise. So Paradise was really was my favorite band, and really the only really good rock band that I was in. It was a 4-piece band, and you had originally asked if I played other instruments. And actually, I was the keyboard player. What I do because it creates a little bit of a party. I mean, if I were, you know, being in a fantasy, I would, you know, be in Madison Square Garden,
right.
You know, out on the edge of the stage with thousands of people with their arms all raised, cheering in adulation. But even when I close my eyes, I can't really quite picture me there. As you're standing on stage, you find the people in the audience. You
find
know,
somebody who's latched on.
You know when you come up and you look, and I make eye contact because, like, yeah, we're sharing this, you know.
Yeah.
And I find somebody almost on every song. I've been asked to open for some incredible groups. I've been asked to join in and play with other people, and or just invited over to their houses and jam with people who are just absolutely incredible musicians.
When you know that the artists are having fun, I feel like the crowd gets more into it, and the crowd has more fun too.
Yeah.
Welcome to On the Horn. I'm Steve-O, your host, and on this show, I will be interviewing some of my favorite nerds about their own particular flavor of nerdiness and the lengths that they go to celebrate it.
To me, you know, and that's an interesting point. As a writer, you don't get this,
right? I don't get that instant feedback.
You don't get feedback, no.
Yeah.
And honestly, the night is that I'll have in any place I play is probably more than half determined by the crowd. A couple of months ago, I played the National Hotel in Frenchtown. It was crazy. People were cheering and singing and dancing, and it was wild.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the night, they wouldn't let me stop playing, and it was just really like so much fun. And you know, this is not to say that there haven't been nights when there were crickets out there.
Yeah.
You know, when there's like me and my wife at the bar. So I mean, I have fun too. I'm just playing for her.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Gigs, there's an art museum in Frenchtown, which is called the Outsider Gallery, which, by the way, is really fantastic, wacky and crazy. But they invited me years ago when I was first starting to play, just to come and play in the gallery when they had something going on. Mm-hmm. And I would sit in a corner, and people couldn't even see me. I mean, I wasn't even visible.
You were just a voice from the ether.
Sometimes people would stroll in that little corner and say, "Oh wow, I thought it was the radio or something."
You're like, "Thank you." I sound like the radio.
So you know, when you have to deal with all of it.
Yeah,
you know, you deal with the hecklers, the people who don't like your music.
That was actually going to be my next question. They're like, have you had any really? So I asked you about your like perfect crowd. Have you had any like really bad crowd, like just really drunk people, like being annoying, or like hecklers or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, there have been times when like you're in a small place and they're so close to you that they keep bumping into you. They're dancing, you know, but can you really complain when people that you're playing for are dancing and having a great time and are bumping into you? You know, I mean, it's a little oddly, you know, and hecklers I like, actually, because they're typically good-natured hecklers.
You get a back and forth going.
Oh, I love that. I actually like, because it just brings in audience interaction and people love it. But here's the audiences I don't like. Sometimes you're playing in sort of a restaurant, sort of a venue, and there are people who will stand right in front of you and just talk to each other at the top of their lungs. And you know, the owners of the restaurant are going, you know, Mike, you got to turn it down a little bit. It's too loud. I think, I can hear every conversation in the room. And especially this lady who's standing right in front of me. I mean, absolutely.
She's talking into my microphone.
No respect at all for someone who's performing and doing their job. And the owner of this one restaurant told me that because I guess he gets it a lot. It's a little bit of a upscale kind of place, which is to say maybe perhaps even snobby. That one musician actually yelled at the crowd and told him to shut up because he was playing, which you can't do.
Right. I guess when you're in a restaurant, you can't really do that.
Yeah, they're not there to see you.
Yeah.
And
it's a little different than a comedy club, I guess.
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
These, it's not like there's, a huge sign out front, tonight, Mike Jamieson performing, and I'm bringing in the crowd.
Right.
They bought tickets in advance. They paid $40 at the door. No, they came in for, shrimp. And I just happened to be there, so you take that in your stride.
Finding a balance, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. But as a musician, I think I appreciate other musicians more than not regular people, but than other people, non-musicians would.
Yeah.
I have a great respect for, because I know what went into what they're doing. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, they put a lot into it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much any art, I think. I consider myself a terrible writer, but
all writers do, I would think.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Every writer thinks that they're bad.
I just read
unless they really are bad, and then they think they're good.
I just read an interesting book about a writer who's talked about his writing. But we'll talk about that after this.
All right, that'll be a later conversation.
The next installment of this will be me interviewing Steve on writing.
I'm looking forward to that one. But as far as like your art goes, it doesn't matter. I think for the most part, maybe not everyone. Maybe some people are just, trying to jump in like 2 seconds of work and see, and throw their stuff out there. But I think for the most part, if you're serious about your art, you want to make it as good as you can before you let other people look at it or hear
You would
it.
think so.
Right. I'm not saying that it gets as good as it's going to get, but you kind of fret over whether or not it's good before you let anybody else hear it or see it.
Absolutely fret over it. And we can talk pet peeves here. Or even people who get up at open mic nights, which are, casual things, and they're going to sing 2 songs and they're reading the words.
Yeah.
I think that's lack of preparation. You shouldn't be up there.
Just memorize the words. Just play your favorite song. You already know the words.
And honestly, I see people that are getting actually paid to play who are still reading words and chords and things off of music sheets or iPads or whatever, and it's like, to me, that's horrible.
Yeah.
A professional doesn't do that. And part of that is because the professional musical experience is connecting with the audience. I mean, that's why you're there. If you're not going to connect with the audience, just play, music over the radio.
Right.
What's the difference? That's why a human being is actually there playing. So, and I find, and on the rare occasion, the 1 or 2 times in the thousands of songs I've played over the years, that where I've said, it's a new song, I just learned it, or I just, and I've had a little cheat sheet or something. I find myself staring at it, whether I need it or not. And that's what happens. I see this all the time. I would never use a mic stand. A music stand. And the other thing that bothers me is that I see people out there who have a music stand in front of them, and it blocks me from seeing them playing the guitar.
Right. And you want to like because you play, you want to look and see what they're playing.
I want to see what they're doing. I mean, because part of the experience is visual, and you're blocking them off from seeing what you're doing. That's just sort of annoying to me.
That's a big thing. You know what? I feel the same way. Even though I don't know a goddamn thing about playing guitar, I tried to play guitar for about 7.5 minutes when I was
it takes
14,
longer than that.
When I was 14 years old. I couldn't get it in 7.5 minets, so I gave it up forever.
I think 12 is where you really start to get it.
Yeah. 12 minutes. I should have held out for 12. But I mean that's kind of when you're watching somebody perform, especially music. No, I guess not especially music. Any art, theater, music, whatever. You want to see everything that there is to be seen, even if it doesn't help you in any way, even if you don't understand it. You want to try to. I mean, maybe this is just me, but I don't think it is. I think
there's nothing like another human being performing,
right?
And you being there witnessing, whether it's someone doing a poetry reading. By the way, Jay, who is the bass player from CB Radio, has written a poetry book. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I'll
give it to you before you leave.
I would like to check it
Uncle
out.
Jeff stole my copy, but I got another signed.
Signed, no big deal.
Jay Januzzi wrote this. I mean, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And who you wouldn't have thought that that it was. I mean, it's
well, I've heard I like their lyrics, so I
his lyrics are good. This is better because he didn't have to necessarily conform to music. You and I have both worked with a little bit with trying to write songs, and you've written some lyrics for me. And
I don't know what the hell I'm doing with writing lyrics. I can write a poem.
Yeah.
Writing lyrics is a whole different animal.
Well, don't look at me for the answer. Because,
I was hoping that you would tell me how to write.
I'm worse than you. I basically am doing 3 original songs at this point. One that you wrote and the lyrics to, and 2 that I wrote the lyrics to. And yours are better than mine.
No, come on. Probably not. They're at least far more depressing than yours.
Well, that's true. Good, because no, you haven't heard my latest.
Oh,
it's not.
You got a depressing one?
It's not depressing, but it's a little bit of like an old man's look back at life.
A little downer.
You know,
that's all right.
It's all right.
Very.
It's not nearly as depressing as yours.
All right, good.
Okay,
good. I maintain my depressing cred
right.
as far as songs go. So, what kind of places do you like playing? Is your favorite place to play like here? In your little studio, or do you like being out in front of people more?
Oh, I would tell you, absolutely. Do you, how about, remember down the shore this summer?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a family gathering, at the shore, and Steve's, extended family, gets these houses, and there's always 30 of them packed into the house. They actually had 2 houses, last year.
Oh, we're getting 2 houses again this year.
Because it was,
same thing.
It was so much. And one night we were just out on the deck of the old people house, and I brought out the guitar because they were really twisting my arm.
Yeah, it was super tough to get it, bring out the guitar.
And but that's the crowd I love to play for. I mean, and it was different. At times there were 12 people singing along and having a good time. Other times there were 3 people listening quietly. Yeah. Other times there were, it just sort of, and I love that because there's no pressure. I probably played 15 songs that I'd never even played before in my life. The people sort of call things out and say, yeah, I could do a rendition of that. And it was, that was really fun. I just like interacting that close. People sitting right next to me. We're playing. We're all having a good time.
Yeah, those are honestly my favorite. Those family events are my favorite. I've been to a lot of concerts. I've been to a lot of really good concerts, or a few really good concerts. You've probably been to more concerts than I have. But
maybe. I'm not a big fan of big concerts.
Yeah.
I think that sort of personal thing gets lost now. I've been to a lot of big concerts.
I did my the biggest concert I've ever been to is actually felt like one of the more personal ones I ever went to. To go on another little tangent here, I went to see The Last Dispatch in I don't know, probably 2004 or 5. Mm-hmm. They played in Boston, and
I'm sure that was the last one. They seem to reform.
No, they've played again.
Like
they played at MSG since then, but this was supposedly their last show together.
Right. They're doing the same thing I am, by the way.
Exactly.
Me and Dispatch, pretty much the same.
Same band.
Yeah,
pretty much
same thing. Yeah.
But they called it The Last Dispatch. They played at the Hat Shell in. I think it was in one of the little suburbs right outside of Boston.
Wow.
And they closed down half the damn town. They were expecting, 15,000 people.
Right.
And they got 150,000 people.
Yeah, 15,000 people, barely fills the Boston Garden.
They filled the entire field in front of the Hat Shell. Mm-hmm. And then the streets, they had to close down 4 or 5 streets, big streets. So it took us, we got there 45 minutes late, right? Because we couldn't find a place to park. We had to park. See,
I think those are more events than they are musical things, and that's what sort of bothers not bothers me. It's wonderful. I look at Margaritaville, that guy Jimmy Buffett, right? Yeah. Jimmy Buffett. Come on, everyone look at him as a musical hack, but I think he's fantastic because he gets these incredible groups together, and they have these huge parties. You asked me before about, I like these little parties. Well, if I could do that, I would write every one of those Cheeseburger in Paradise songs and have all my thousands of
people
sell
directly out
and party with me.
Just hang out.
So God bless him for what he does.
Yeah.
And I was at a big concert at the Philadelphia, whatever the Philadelphia big arena is now. Yeah, whatever
Recently?
bank it's named after at this point.
Right.
But and I saw Sting and Paul Simon. And this is just 2 years ago. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. The music was just it was really a music thing because, first of all, if you're going to see Sting and Paul Simon, the average age of the group is 50 to 70.
Right. Combined age is.
Yeah. So it wasn't, you could hear the music, but the musicians were just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was well worth it. But I think there's a difference between musical events and events.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dispatch sometimes is, they write all those songs where you clap above your heads. It's really festival bands.
They were kind of that jam band type of feel that was a big thing in the college circuit around the time that I grew up. There was OAR before them.
Sure.
Or actually, I don't even know if OAR was before them.
I saw
OAR got big before
OAR
them.
about 3 years ago.
OAR, I saw a bunch of times when I was in school,
and every one of OAR's songs has a part in it where you raise your hands and clap them above your head.
They certainly do now. They have changed a lot in their musical
I'm not
styling.
Against it at all. And there's a great book, and I don't remember the name of it. And it was written by the guy from the Talking Heads. But the whole premise of the book is really interesting. It's about how music has evolved based upon the venues, and that's really it. Talk about chamber music. Well, I mean, there's aptly named. It was for chamber, And then when they had bigger audiences, they had to have an orchestra. They had to have a louder band, And then, but in his genre, then it was, then there were. But
then you got speakers.
There was arena rock, and there was all that, But what we've evolved to now is this sort of where festivals are big, and it's really about the experience in the event as much as it is the music itself. People aren't sitting quietly at these festivals listening to each note.
They're getting very high.
They're very high.
They're getting very high.
But they're high on the music, the camaraderie, the other people who enjoy the same things that
LSD,
they do.
what have you.
Whatever. That's what we're calling it now. We're calling it camaraderie.
It's camaraderie.
Yes. Don't take the blue camaraderie.
Right. The blue camaraderie is the bad camaraderie.
Right.
For all our listeners.
Right.
Don't forget. Yeah. But I completely agree with that. There's this idea that, and I think that to completely change my direction from what I was going to say, I think that the festival circuit is kind of the idea of taking taking a big event and making it more personal, I guess, because you have these like big stages, right, where everybody goes and like sees these bands, but then at a festival, you go back, you go talk to your friends about, whatever, you go get high or smoke weed or do LSD or just hang out and have a good time, whatever you want to do, but it's always in these little, cliques, these little groups. You set up your tents and you have friends, people come in, take off from these groups that you have, and it's always, I've only been to one festival.
Okay.
But I consistently hear stories from friends who go to them a lot about, all the people that they met and all the fun times that they had, like in small groups.
I think they're social events more than anything else.
Yeah.
But they're based on a mutual, affection for whatever groups are playing.
So maybe what I'm trying to say is maybe the music is big, but the appreciation of it is in a smaller group.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean,
maybe that's
a lot of times you go and see groups, and it's just sort of to say you heard them live. I've never heard. I mean, a lot of people are really fans of live music. I am on a small scale. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. Not because of the sound, because it's blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, not literally,
right.
Although
sometimes
at one point it was. But people, literally, I mean, they're out there right in front of you performing and playing live.
Yeah.
And to me, it's an amazing thing. It's like watching, a basketball team play or something. They're all in sync. They're all, and that feeling when you get when you're playing with a band, when you nail it, when you just kind of get in a groove, everybody's together, you stick the landing, and it's really a wonderful feeling. It's very much like being on a sports team.
Yeah, and you really know when a band. I mean, not that I've been on the other side of it, but you really know when a band has really nailed it, or like an act, or like whoever you're going to see.
You feel it. You don't know.
There's something,
but you feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's something in the air that's different than all the other times you've been. Like maybe you've been to a couple good concerts, but the first time you go to a really great concert, you realize it. You get goosebumps up and down.
But the thing is, you don't know it, you feel it, and this is something people say to me all the time, because there are some times when I don't feel like I've played the best I could play.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made mistakes here and there, and people always say to me, well, nobody notices. That's the thing is everyone
right.
notices. They don't know it. They don't know that you made a mistake. But at the end of the day, they walk out and saying, oh, that guy was all right. Or that guy was really good.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh man, that guy was great.
Maybe you're right. Like it's not that they notice it, but it's that they
feel it.
They feel it. You're right.
Yeah. When I'm in the groove and things are going well, I can see people turning towards me.
Mm-hmm.
They're responding. Mm-hmm. When I'm screwing up, they're not. You know.
Yeah.
Now nobody looks up and say, "Wow, that should have been an A flat." You know. Nobody knows. You know, necessarily unless you screw up royally. You know, and that happens too.
Yeah, you know.
But
you just say you broke a chord or broke a string, and then you like start over.
Those are more fun than anything else.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the way it goes. I keep saying this, but like it kind of goes that way for any art that you're in. If you're doing it right, everybody's kind of feeling what you're doing.
Yeah. And if you're a great writer or a poet, nobody knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
They can't do it. They don't even understand it.
Yeah.
But they get it. You know, I always say this about like,
and you can feel it yourself too, even as you're doing it. Like as I mean, I assume that it's the same way for you. Like if I'm writing something and I know it's going well, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
absolutely.
Don't get in your head about this, man. Don't think about how good it's going because then you're gonna screw it up.
And the funny thing is, you actually don't need the audience to react to it.
Right.
Even if they don't, that doesn't matter.
Right.
You know. So.
But as a musician, they will. You know, like you'll
well,
get
sometimes. Sometimes I'm in the groove and just for whatever reason, you know, the dinner was just served, or you know, or something. You know, there's a sports.
But
thing
if you
on
had
TV that people are watching,
but if you had a recording of that, or if you have a recording of that, you can go back and say, oh yeah, I was at the damn groove. That's kind of the same way as like looking back at like what I wrote when I knew I was in the groove and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. Like, you know, I nailed it on that one.
I have recordings of that band Paradise that we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah,
and in some cases where I'm going, that was. I mean, I'm amazed to this day at how really good that was.
Yeah. Always nice to go back, especially because of how much you realize how much most of the shit that you did when you were a kid, it was really terrible.
Oh yeah.
So like when you go back and you find something that's really good, you're like, wow, how did I even pull that off?
Yeah,
you know?
I was not a good guitar player at that time, and again I was the keyboard player, but the lead guitar player who was very good, and I used to joke that I didn't play the electric guitar. I was more like playing an electric razor. It just sounded bad. And you know, enough people, you know, and all the tone. There's a lot of talk amongst guitarists about tone, and they talk about equipment all the time. But it really comes from your fingers. It is amazing to me. I can pick up a guitar there was a YouTube video of a guy who picked up this like $12, you know, Walmart guitar, and it's just amazing. You know, it comes from your fingers.
Yeah,
it really does. I mean, you know, the instrument has something to do with it, certainly,
right,
but far less than you would think.
Mm.
And the equipment has something to do with it. But good guitar players, it's really in the fingers. It's really in you know.
Can't keep them from playing a good guitar.
No.
Yeah. No. I guess that comes with,
you know, it's like golf. You know, like I play golf, and these guys always want the latest clubs. And I'm thinking, you know, any professional golfer could take my clubs, you know, that I've had for 10 years
and beat
now,
the hell out of all of us,
and absolutely just you know, absolutely, it would make almost no difference from the clubs that he now carries in his bags that cost $12,000.
Right.
You know, you don't want to be that guy with $12,000 worth of clubs that can't play golf.
Yeah, that loses.
Yeah. Or the kid that you know that's got a $4,000 guitar that you know that can't play it.
Everybody pats on the head as he walks out of the open mic nights.
Yeah. And that $4,000 guitar will sound like crap.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I guess what you got to do is, learning how to play, learning your skill, whatever skill it is the first thing, and then equipment comes second for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so I have two more questions. I want to ask you about the songs that you like and the songs that you've played. So the first question is, do you remember the first song that you learned? And was it like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something?
No. The first song I learned, probably not. The first song I played in a band was, I think the song was called Traces by a faded photograph covered now in lines and pieces. I don't know.
I got nothing.
It was, The Association, probably something like that. We're talking about 1971 or something that, and it was a lame ass song, but let's go back to my, mostly my music has been lame ass popular stuff, so,
lame according to who?
Yeah. According to people who like to point fingers.
Right.
But, so I think that was the first one I think about that every once in a while.
Yeah.
But we were thrilled. There were like four of us. There was me and a guy playing sax and piano and a drummer and another guitar player, maybe a bass player. And we were just amazed that we could actually all be playing the exact same song.
You got everything together
at the same time.
Had somebody singing it.
Yeah, we're 14 or 15 years old, and we're singing. We're going, wow!
Playing it at the talent show in your high school or something.
Yeah, no, but we did some high school things that were pretty bad.
I remember some of the bands that played at the talent show. There was one or two that were really good. Most of them were awful. But they were up there trying.
Yeah,
they were up there trying.
Yeah,
and my one of my teachers had a band. When one of the years that I was in school, and he had this like super 80s band, 80s-ish band.
Right.
And this was probably 2000, 1999, 2000. And it was really 80s. One of the songs they had was called Locomotive Man. So, very, not quite a direct ripoff of like Locomotive Breath or anything like that,
sure.
but like,
which I've been known to perform with your Uncle Jeff many times.
Great song.
It is a wonderful song. I'm not sure we do it justice, but
But oh no, you do it plenty of justice. I always have a good time.
It's such a fun, I mean, and that's it, and that's why I do what I do. If people were coming actually listening, it probably would not be one of my song choices.
Yeah. Well,
I actually,
what?
But there are lots of songs that I don't play over the course of a night because no one's listening. And and there's songs that you actually need to listen to.
I feel like that's a song. So when you're making a set list, do you make a set list for the night, or do you kind of like feel out the audience and like that's how you go?
I rarely make set lists. I put my entire list repertoire in front of me and just
pick out of it,
pick things as I go. I separate them into like slower songs and faster songs. So that I can just go down one list for mood.
I feel like Locomotive Breath is one of those songs that like gets people's attention though.
Oh,
if people are starting to wane and you have a little leeway to get loud,
absolutely,
that's a song that'll like turn people around and get them looking at you again.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yep.
All right. So the final question that I had, and we can just like tick these off really quick.
All right.
Is what are your 5 favorite songs? Well, let me do it this way. Either your 5 favorite songs to play, or your 5 favorite songs to hear people play live.
Wow, the second part of that I couldn't even imagine because I couldn't limit it to 500.
Yeah.
My 5 favorite songs to play are probably not songs that I actually do play. There's a song I love called "A Good Year for the Roses," which I think is a George Jones song, but it was actually made a little bit more popular by Elvis Costello. And I love that song. I love to play that song, but I rarely do because it just doesn't go over very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I could play Margaritaville and people pick up their ears and, I mean, you have to understand that you're not there just for yourself. You're there for the audience.
Well,
by the way,
I mean,
don't play Margaritaville.
We could be talking about playing here by yourself, or we could be talking about playing
so
like with the family.
Let's put
or
that
we could be talking about like in a bar,
Let's put that song in. I also like Big Gorilla.
That's a great song.
At the LA Zoo, a wonderful Warren Zevon song. It's just, I don't know. It's one of these just fun songs. There's a song I've been playing lately, "The Rose of San Joaquin."
Yeah.
That's a favorite. There's a Simon and Garfunkel song that I absolutely adore playing. And these are all sort of more quietly introspective songs. This was actually the last song on the last Simon and Garfunkel album, and it's called. I don't remember. Hand me a guitar. I could play it. I can't.
I'll hand you a guitar right now.
Hand me the guitar. I'll play it.
All right, hang on.
But I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, that's a good one. Just pick it straight up. Twist it a little.
All right.
Song for the asking. That's what it is.
Song for the Ass Game.
It just
I knew.
it just
I
occurred
knew that
to
I
me.
knew it. I just couldn't remember
Yeah.
which one it was. You play a few of them.
Yeah. Should I play it for the mic?
Yeah.
All right. This is my song for the asking. Ask me and I will play. So sweetly I'll make you smile. Thinking it over, I'd be sad. Thinking it over, I'd be more than glad to change my ways. For the asking, ask me and I will play all the love that I hold inside.
All right.
It's a short version. It's a gorgeous song. Simon
It
and
is.
I find that so many Simon and Garfunkel songs or Paul Simon songs have snuck into my set.
Yeah. I've
not-
noticed
not
that too, and it's great. Most of them are Simon and Garfunkel, I think. You got a couple.
No, like Me and Julio Down with the Schoolyard is
True.
Paul Simon.
But you have Feeling Groove,
Oh, yeah.
the 56th Street Bridge or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Some number street bridge.
What is the 59th Street Bridge?
Maybe.
Yeah. Feeling Groovy.
Feeling Groovy.
I mean, there's probably a dozen Simon and Garfunkel songs
Yeah.
that I play. Homeward Bound.
Oh,
and,
they're so good.
I
They're probably one of my favorite
love
bands.
the other. I actually like this. The other. Grab me a pick over there.
Where's there?
You can cut this part out. Over the little box under the plant in the corner. Another Simon and Garfunkel. I just love the riff. You know
Yeah.
that song.
I really I can't get enough of Simon and Garfunkel. They're like I said, since
At the Zoo has always been a favorite one of yours too.
oh yeah, love it.
Tells me it's all happening at the zoo. I do believe it. I do believe it's true. Oh, you know.
Normally I would be singing, but I'm not gonna do that because my voice is terrible. At least my singing voice. Hopefully my speaking voice isn't nearly as bad because you'll have to deal with it.
You're a regular Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah, exactly. I got a voice for, I don't know, silent movies. So what is that? How many is that? 4?
For
One
what?
more favorite song
Oh, favorite songs?
to play.
Wow. I kind of like an obscure David Bowie song.
Oh, I think you played this last weekend.
I don't think I did because it's very hard for me to sing it. But if I don't get to the ending, which I won't, it's called Rock and Roll Suicide.
You did play this last weekend.
I did.
I requested it.
I drank a little bit.
You were a few whiskeys in at that point.
Time takes a cigarette, puts it in your mouth, pulls on your finger, then another finger, then cigarette. The wall to wall is calling, it lingers, then you forget. Oh no, 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 you're rock and roll suicide. And it goes on.
Yeah.
That's always a favorite, I guess. But you know, I mean, to limit to 5, I could probably sit here and do 20 favorites.
Right.
I could also do 20 songs from my usual sets that I don't want to play ever again.
But you'll probably have
but
to.
I still do
Because they're really popular.
Because people like them, and you know, who am I to judge? Really,
Yeah.
And, you know,
You've liked bad songs in your day.
So many a bad song.
who hasn't
I'm not
liked
even
a
saying
bad
they're
song or
songs.
two?
I'm just saying that people have different tastes.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's
So,
right.
When they're paying you to play, you can't just say, well, I'm just going to play all the things that I want to. If they pay you a lot of money, you could do that.
Right. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Sounds
Mike,
good to me.
Thank you very much for being on.
I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, this was a good conversation. Lasted an hour and 10 minutes almost.
Let's
which
edit.
is
Wonderful.
so. Thanks for being on, and maybe we'll record a song with you and throw that on the end of this. But that's about it for us. So
Okay.
This was Steve from On the Horn, and we'll see you guys later.
Before we play this song, I just had to interrupt and say what I should have said then. You've been listening to my interview with Mike Jamieson, singer-songwriter, and roadie for hire. Only 2 of those are true. Thank you very much, Mike, for being on the show. It was great, and it's always great talking to you. And now, on to Mike's rendition of a song I wrote about time.
So this is a song that I wrote, Time Enough at Last, which is my big Twilight Zone reference. And yeah.
All right. Should we start?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Time is a force, changes like the breeze. The second that you have it is the second that it leaves. Oh, you gasp, tearing toward the last. You try to fill your hands with its treasures as you pass. You understand they don't follow in the end. Who would not be engulfed in the wonder they portend? Time is the lover, it's made up her mind. All it takes is one misstep before you're left behind. You feel it deep, you know it when you weep. You understand the terror, and it haunts you when you sleep. We're speeding up, it's far too late to stop. We're tipping from the rails, and we're running from the clock. Time is a tree, so the scholars say, an infinitely branching universal array. And just know this, we're doing better these days. We're racing now with time, and it's begun to show its age. We sink our dreams into ever larger pasts, but the question still remains, what is time enough at last? Time is a force, changes like the breeze. The second that you have it is the second that it leaves. And the crowd goes wild.
I'm clapping for Mike, not for my lyrics, but for Mike's
Ah, the lyrics are
playing
wonderful.
of them.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
Who would not be engulfed in the wonder they pretend?
who puts the word portend into a song?
Apparently,
Me.
You do.
Me. I think I might be the
Yes.
only person ever.
You are, we'll have to do some research there, but that could be it.
I could be the only person that's ever put that word into a song.
Somebody Google that. Let us know.
Yeah. We need to know the other ones that have portend in them. Anyway, thanks a lot. That was awesome. And
That was a lot of fun.
yeah, I've had a great time.
Me too.
So we're gonna sign off again for the second time.
Okay.
I tip my cap to you, sir, Mike, and all of our audience, and the end.
This has been On the Horn with Steve-O. Editing by Stephen Ramosi. Music by Christopher Morgan. And I'll talk to you next time.